For decades, NATO has relied on a tightly controlled ecosystem of fighter aircraft, dominated by American giants such as Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and the European consortium behind the Eurofighter Typhoon. Every new fighter deal, every procurement, and every upgrade package seems to fit neatly into the political and industrial structure of NATO. Yet, one jet consistently stands apart from this system: Sweden's JAS-39 Gripen. At first glance, it seems puzzling. The Gripen is affordable, advanced, and proven. It offers cutting-edge avionics, long-range strike capability, powerful electronic warfare systems, and can operate from rugged roads instead of expensive air bases. In fact, it is designed for the kind of dispersed, fast-response operations that NATO theoretically values. So why is NATO hesitant to embrace it? The answer lies in a complex web of politics, defense industry monopolies, and strategic calculations that go far beyond the raw performance of the aircraft. The Gripen was developed by Saab in Sweden, a nation outside NATO for most of its history. Unlike most Western fighter projects, which involved multinational industrial cooperation, the Gripen was built with a focus on independence. Sweden wanted a fighter that did not leave them vulnerable to foreign suppliers or political pressure. This independence has been both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it created an aircraft that is versatile, cost-effective, and free from unnecessary political baggage. On the other hand, it positioned the Gripen as an outsider in a system where NATO nations are expected to buy into the shared defense industrial complex. Consider the F-35 Lightning II. The jet is not just an aircraft, it is a political program. Multiple NATO countries joined the program early, investing billions and securing local industrial contracts. By purchasing the F-35, nations effectively bought into the US-led defense architecture. Choosing the Gripen, however, means stepping outside that framework, and this creates friction within NATO. Governments are pressured not only by military requirements, but also by the political need to align with the US defense strategy. Economics plays a major role too. The Gripen's biggest strength, its affordability, actually works against it in NATO circles. When countries buy the F-35 or Eurofighter, they are also paying into a vast ecosystem of upgrades, spare parts, maintenance contracts, and multinational cooperation. These long-term commitments lock nations into NATO's industrial machine for decades. Saab's Gripen, by contrast, offers lower costs and less dependency on foreign suppliers. While this might sound attractive, it deprives NATO of a reliable revenue stream and weakens the grip of its defense industrial giants. This industrial imbalance helps explain why NATO often ignores or downplays the Gripen. For example, when countries like Hungary and the Czech Republic leased Gripens, their decisions were met with skepticism from NATO's leadership. The jets performed well in operations, but the lack of political alignment with US and Western European industries created friction. In other words, the Gripen's greatest asset, being independent and low cost, is also its greatest liability in a system built on profit sharing and dependency. But there's another dimension: technology politics. The Gripen is highly compatible with NATO systems, capable of integrating Link 16 data sharing, advanced NATO standard weapons, and joint operations. Yet, its supply chain and upgrade cycles remain largely Swedish-controlled. NATO prefers platforms it can influence directly, ensuring that future upgrades align with alliance-wide strategies. A jet designed outside this circle is seen as unpredictable, no matter how capable. This is why NATO prefers to quietly steer nations toward the F-35 or the Eurofighter. The Gripen simply does not fit the political-industrial puzzle. It threatens to set a dangerous precedent that countries can equip themselves with top-tier fighters without surrendering their budgets and sovereignty to the NATO machine. So when NATO says it doesn't want the Gripen, it's not about the jet's combat capability. It's about power, politics, and money. The Gripen proves that a small country can build a world-class fighter on its own terms, and that idea alone is threatening enough to NATO's structure. And yet, despite NATO's reluctance, the Gripen continues to win admiration around the world. It thrives in export markets where affordability, independence, and versatility matter more than political alignment. But NATO's cold shoulder sends a clear message. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon is not the jet itself, but the independence it represents. The story of why NATO doesn't want the Gripen doesn't end with politics and economics. There's also a deeper strategic layer, one tied to the balance of military influence within the alliance. NATO is, in practice, heavily shaped by the United States. American defense strategy dominates planning, procurement, and deployment. This dominance is reinforced through hardware like the F-16 and F-35, which serve as unifying platforms across the alliance. Standardization is the key word here. NATO wants its members to fly the same jets, use the same weapons, and operate within the same logistical systems. That's what gives NATO its cohesion on the battlefield. The Gripen, despite being compatible, represents a deviation from that model. Its very existence challenges NATO's vision of total interoperability under American leadership. Take the F-35 program again. When a nation buys into the Lightning II, it becomes part of a vast intelligence sharing and logistics network controlled by the United States. Mission data, software updates, and even spare parts are monitored and regulated through centralized systems. This gives the US tremendous leverage over allies. But the Gripen, being independent, does not give Washington the same control. It allows its operators to remain sovereign over their military data, mission planning, and hardware upgrades. From NATO's perspective, this undermines alliance unity, even though in reality, it simply protects national sovereignty. Another issue is perception. NATO often emphasizes high-cost, high-profile programs to showcase strength and unity. The Gripen, with its smaller size and lower cost, is often portrayed as less advanced in political discussions, even though it punches far above its weight in actual combat performance. This perception is carefully cultivated because admitting the Gripen's true value would raise uncomfortable questions. Why are NATO members spending billions on jets like the F-35 when a cheaper, equally capable alternative exists? It's not just theory. This tension has played out in real-world competitions. Brazil's fighter selection program famously chose the Gripen over the F-35 and Rafale, citing lower costs, superior technology transfer, and operational flexibility. The deal was a major victory for Saab, but also a warning to NATO. If more countries begin choosing the Gripen, the alliance's industrial monopoly could crumble. Similar considerations influenced decisions in countries like Hungary, the Czech Republic, and South Africa. Each time the Gripen won, it was not just a victory for Sweden. It was a disruption to NATO's preferred order. Yet, despite NATO's reluctance, the Gripen's reputation continues to grow. Pilots praise its maneuverability and advanced cockpit. Military analysts point to its cutting-edge electronic warfare suite, which rivals or surpasses much more expensive jets. And in an era of constrained defense budgets, governments see the Gripen as a practical alternative that delivers high-end capability without financial ruin. All of this makes the Gripen not just a fighter jet, but a symbol of resistance against the entrenched interests that dominate NATO. So where does this leave us? The Gripen is unlikely to become a NATO standard jet anytime soon, not because of its shortcomings, but because of its independence. NATO's structure thrives on control, profit sharing, and political unity. The Gripen challenges all three. It shows that there is another path, one where countries can have world-class fighters without tying themselves completely to the US defense industrial complex. That is why NATO doesn't want the Gripen, because it represents freedom of choice in a system designed to eliminate it. And yet, the story is not over. With Sweden officially joining NATO in recent years, the dynamics are shifting. Now, a NATO member directly operates the Gripen. This raises fascinating questions. Will Sweden push for its fighter to gain a larger role within NATO exercises and planning? Or will NATO continue to quietly sideline the jet while promoting the F-35 as its centerpiece? The outcome could reshape the alliance in unexpected ways. One thing is certain: the Gripen has already proven that size and cost do not determine effectiveness. It has shown that a smaller nation can stand toe-to-toe with the world's largest defense industries. And in doing so, it has revealed the uncomfortable truth at the heart of NATO's procurement system. Sometimes, it's not about what works best. It's about who controls the system. So the next time someone asks why NATO doesn't want the Gripen, the answer is simple. It's not because the jet isn't good enough. It's because it's too good and too independent for a system built on dependency.